Chapter 286, Terrified. Being friends for decades and having so many contacts, Qi Changshan knew Du Changsa from the bottom up. However, both of them were businessmen. If it was a business negotiation, it was only normal if Du Changsa asked him some money that he could accept and understand. Only, what important news was it for it to be 1 billion yuan worth? After transferring the money to Du Changsa's personal account, his mobile rang again. Qi Changshan then stood in a quiet corner and pressed the answer button. "Brother Qi, you'd better come to me if possible since it's inconvenient to speak on the phone. But be quick as time is racing against you," Du Changsa's voice passed from the phone. "I'm going now," said Qi Changshan heavily. "Wait, don't hang up your phone. It's best to take your son along since the matter is related to him." "What do you mean?" "Don't ask. Just come and I'll tell you." As the call ended, Qi Changshan frowned deeply. After pondering for a moment, he called Qi Chengxing's cell number. Knowing that he was in the vicinity, he told his son to come to him. At the entrance of the Beverly Hotel, a Bentley slowly parked outside the entrance as Qi Changshan stood next to it, gazing at the distance toward a Porsche that was fast approaching. Coldness flashed in his eyes. He could faintly guess that the bad news Du Changsa would tell him was probably because a big mess his son had made. "Dad, you told me to hurry here, is there anything up?" A faint smell of alcohol emitted from Qi Chengxing's body. After having seen today's matter, he was shrouded with restlessness, thus he asked some of his friends to accompany him to drink to overcome the feeling. Yet, the call from his father disturbed him somewhat. Boarding into the car, Qi Changshan then said heavily, "Get into the car. You must go with me to some place." Giving his Porsche's key to the entrance security, Qi Chengxing entered the car and curiously asked, "Where are you going to take me, Dad?" "Du Changsa called me just now, saying that he wants to sell me some critical news." "Do you know how much the news is worth?" Qi Changshan snorted to him coldly. "Du Changsa? Du Yang's father?" The restlessness inside him grew more intense as Qi Chengxing shook his head. "I don't." 1 billion, said Qi Changshan. Qi Chengxing stunned as his eyes turned saucer instantly, exclaiming, "Dad, did you agree? I know Du Changsa very well. If the news was not valuable, he would never play a prank on me. But before I go see him, I want to ask you. Was it you who did a big mess?" The already anxious Qi Chengxing had his face turn unsightly. After hesitating for a moment, he thought he could hide the truth no longer, saying bitterly, "Dad, I probably made a big mess. Today." Telling everything about today's matter, Qi Chengxing finally said, "Though he told me to take you to apologize to him, I think it's not necessary. I wasn't the one who caused this matter. I just spoke some things to support them." The cold glint inside Qi Changshan's eyes grew thicker as he asked in a heavy tone, "Did you really see those two kids, Jiang Yu and Chen Fei, being captured by the general manager of the Everlasting Feast Hall, Tianli?" Quickly nodding, Qi Chengxing replied, "It's absolutely true. But I was very curious since Du Yang didn't get seized that time." Slowly closing his eyes, Qi Changshan's mind constantly pondered about the incident. He knew about the Everlasting Feasts Hall, he was even a regular patron when entertaining his friends there. He also knew a little about Tianli and met her several times. The woman was warm and approachable, humble and prudent. The one thing he couldn't figure out was why Tianli had a stark contrast to her usual style, even daring to forcefully take Jiang Yu and Chen Fei away. It had to be known that these two young men possessed unusual backgrounds, with a strength much powerful compared to the Everlasting Feast Hall. Could it be that Tianli had no fear of losing her foothold in Hong Kong for the Everlasting Feast Hall? A few minutes passed by. Qi Changshan decided to call Jiang Tianba and Qin Jianya, asking them about the specific situation. After dialing Jiang Tianba's cell number, a long time passed before his call was accepted by the other party. "Brother Jiang, it's old Qi. Did I disturb your rest? If you want to say something, Do it quick. A blunt voice mixed with an angry tone belonging to Jing Tianba came from the phone. For a moment, Qi Changshan was startled and confused, as he then asked, Brother Jiang, I just heard from my kid that your son had a conflict with the people from the Everlasting Feast Hall. What was the matter exactly? Find it out yourself. The call was dropped immediately after. Stunned and staring blankly, he listened to the beeping sound of the phone as a thick fog shrouded Qi Changshan's heart, causing him to be unable to think it through. He had a good relationship with Jiang Tianba, but what happened to him today? It was like he just ate some gunpowder. It wasn't like he had wronged him, no. After recollecting himself, Qi Changshan shook his head and dialed Qinjianya's cell number. What's up? The low and deep voice of Qinjianya passed from the phone. Qi Changshan laughed, Old Chen, this tone of yours, you seem to not be in a good mood, no? What happened? Fuming with anger, Qinjianya replied, had it been you that had lost half of your family's assets after decades of hard and bitter effort, would you feel happy about it? Startled, Qi Changshan was dumbfounded, because Qinjianya also ended the call after he said that sentence. What was it? Losing most of the family's assets that were obtained with hard and bitter effort for decades all of a sudden? Suddenly, a chill invaded his heart as his eyes instantly focused. A ridiculous thought appeared inside his mind. Did Jiang Tianba and Qinjianya suffered a loss in the hands of the Everlasting Feast Hall's people? The idea fleeted inside his mind for a few seconds before he tossed it away. He thought that it wasn't possible. Though the Everlasting Feast Hall may have a bit of ability, it would be very difficult for them to face both Jiang Tianba and Qinjianya at the same time. At Sim Sha Sui, Qi Changshan took Qi Changxing and arrived at the Du family's residence. After he saw Du Changsa, he immediately asked loudly, Brother Du, can you say it now? As they shook hands, Du Changsa looked at Qi Changxing behind. He then shook his head and said, Follow me to my room. Speaking about it outside is not convenient. Inside the study room, after motioning Qi Changshan to take a seat, Du Changsa began speaking with a bitter expression, sighing, Brother Qi, I'd never have asked you money had it been before. But the situation is different now, I hope you don't blame me. The good sons we have raised turned out to have invited trouble and calamity upon us. Tell me, said Qi Changshan with a frown. Speaking in a heavy tone, Du Changsa replied, since you brought your son over, you should know that these 4 kids just had a conflict with the Everlasting Feast Hall's boss, no? I heard a little about that, said Qi Changshan with a nod. Du Changsa shook his head. Tianli seized Jiang Tianba and Qinjianya's sons in the Everlasting Feast Hall. So, they immediately contacted me. The 3 of us brought nearly 200 people and prepared to teach the Everlasting Feast Hall a lesson. But the result was, more than 100 men under Jiang Tianba and Shen Fei were all decimated. They also got extorted as they had to give up 49% of their company's shares, whereas I must pay 3 billion in compensation to keep the lives of us, father and son, as well as dozens of my men. What? Qi Changshan suddenly stood with a horrified look on his face. Shock. The news was simply like a thunderclap to him. He knew perfectly well about the inside story of the trio, Du Changsa, Jiang Tianba, and Qinjianya. They were of the wealthy and people with influence. If they were to join forces, they would be able to contend with Li Jiren for Hong Kong, albeit being slightly weaker. What sort of existence was the Everlasting Feast Hall? How could the 3 of them joining up still be unable to contend with it? Brother Du, don't play a joke with me. Twitching his lips a few times, Qi Changshan asked in a trembling voice. With all seriousness on his face, Du Changsa shook his head and said, Look at me. Do you think I'm joking with you? Most of the thugs and henchmen Jiang Tianba and Qinjianya had painstakingly nurtured had all been decimated. They also lost over 2/3 of their wealth. Call them if you don't believe me. Suddenly, Qi Chengshan finally understood as to why Jiang Tianba and Xinjianya replied to him with such manner and attitude when he called them. They had just fallen into a miserable state. Just as the thought crossed his mind, Qi Chengshan's face turned pale as though paper. He suddenly realized something as his eyes violently contracted and hastily asked, "You mean, the other party will also hit me?" Forcing out a smile, Du Chongsa said, "Brother Qi, you didn't see the scene that time yourself. Over 100 dead bodies with blood covering the floor. The other party is exceedingly ruthless, even the words cruel and merciless are not enough to describe them. Especially the boss of the Everlasting Feast Hall. He was but only a young man in his 20s, yet he slew more than 20 people. Do you think your family can walk away while the three of us have paid such an enormous price?" Qi Chengshan's mouth twitched a few times. As he turned around, he slapped Qi Chengxing's face as his son staggered backward and nearly fell on the floor. "Brother Du, I'll transfer the remaining 500 million to your account after I take care of this matter. I'll take my leave now." Having said that, Qi Chengshan dragged Qi Chengxing and left. At the north wing of the Everlasting Feast Hall, over 100 dead bodies had been disposed of while the blood-covered floor had also been washed clean, yet a faint smell of blood was still lingering inside the hall. "Will we return to Jingmen Island tonight?" Looking happy, Hao Lei asked after seeing that the cleaning staff and security guards had left the restaurant. Tianli shook her head and smiled. "There's one other small thing that has yet to be resolved." "Huh?" Hao Lei was puzzled. "There's still something else." "What is it?" The corner of Tianli's mouth formed a smile as she slowly said, "Some people didn't come. So I intend to visit them myself to collect the debt if they don't come today." "Who is it?" asked Hao Lei, surprised. "Qi Chengshan," said Tianli. Hao Lei's brows furrowed. Was Qi Chengshan also involved in tonight's incident? Shrugging her shoulders, Tianli smiled. "Well, he brought up his good son who turned out to mess up big time, bringing a calamity, so he naturally can never escape from his responsibility." Nodding and looking thoughtful, Hao Lei suddenly said, "Tianli, do you have the feeling that our current boss is kinda like a money-making machine? Only one night of income, yet the amount is more than 10 years of the Everlasting Feast Hall and Grand Fortune jewelries combined together." Chapter 287, An Astronomical Price for a Lesson. A smile was outlined on Tianli's mouth as she said, "What is it? Do you think it's too bad or the boss is way too ruthless?" "I'm fine with him being ruthless, or else how could we fight against so many opponents? It's been several years since Big Boss last appeared, leaving the little boss to take care of the business. You know how she was rather indifferent in matters of important and necessary issues. Regardless of the matter, she delegated most of the jobs to us. I was kinda worried that her indifference would hamper the later expansion and development of the Everlasting Feast Hall, if it continued like that. Now it seems that my worry was unfounded," said Hao Lei with a laugh. Nodding in approval, Tianli said, "I thought the same as you. I'm content with the current boss, especially his way of doing things, which kinda suits my appetite. I believe our Everlasting Feast Hall will get better under his leadership." Taking back her smile after there were only the two of them inside the hall, Hao Lei whispered, "Are you curious about our new boss?" "I'm dead curious," said Tianli slowly after a moment of silence. "Yeah. He's unfathomably mysterious. He appeared all of a sudden and suddenly became the boss of our Everlasting Feast Hall. Though he's very young, yet we know nothing about who and where he is from. I have a hunch that he comes from the same place as Big Boss." Faintly smiling, Tianli looked at her and asked, "Don't tell me you know where Big Boss comes from?" "No, I don't," said Hao Lei as she shook her head. Tianli took a deep breath and spoke in a deep tone, "Regardless of boss origin, we only need to remember that our lives were bestowed by Big Boss, so we must carry out her every command unconditionally. Also, our current boss may look amicable on the surface, yet he is cruel and ruthless in his bones. So we gotta keep our respectful manner toward him at all times. But of course, Boss gave us that opportunity, even if he wants me to stake my life, I will never shrink bank. Also, She didn't finish her words since a big, strong guy appeared at the hall's door in a hurry. General Manager, Chief Hao, the Chi Enterprises CEO, Chi Changshan, came with his son, Chi Changxing. They are waiting outside now, said the big guy in a deep tone. Tianli raised her brows and sneered, did this father and son came by themselves? Yes. They are alone. He heard the news, it seems. Let them in, said Tianli lightly. Yes. The big strong guy complied and quickly left. Hao Lei shrugged and laughed, I'll leave this matter for you to deal with. I'm going back to get some rest and take care of things in Grand Fortune Jewelries tomorrow. We'll leave for the headquarters in Jingmen Island the day after tomorrow. Oh God. I'm excited. Nodding, Tianli said, Boss will leave tomorrow, so we can go back the day after. 2 minutes after, Tianli sat alone in the hall, wearing a cold and detached expression as she looked at Chi Changshan and Chi Changxing. Chief Tian. Forcing out a wry smile, Chi Changshan came before Tianli. Is there something? Asked Tianli lightly. Chi Changshan took a check from his pocket and handed it to Tianli, saying, I just heard about the matter tonight, Chief Tian. Please accept this 1 billion check as a token of apology to your Everlasting Feast Hall's boss. Who told you the news? Tianli didn't receive the check but asked instead. Du Changsa told me and asked me 1 billion yuan for the news, said Chi Changshan. Tianli slanted her brows and sneered, Du Changsa just ripped you off. Anyways, since you bought the news for such a high price, I believe you already know about the aftermath, no? Do you think our Everlasting Feast Hall cares about a mere 1 billion? Chief Tian, I can't come up with more money for now. Prior to this, I paid 500 million yuan to Du Changsa. I'll borrow the remaining 1 billion from my friend to pay the rest. The Jiang Group and Wanyuan Real Estate have more capital than me, so coming up with this amount of money is the limit of my capabilities. Consider this over. You can go. Upon hearing it, Tianli replied and received the check. Secretly relieved inside, Chi Changshan hastily said, then, I'll no longer disturb you. I'll take my leave, farewell. Wait. Tianli suddenly smiled, remember to convey my message to Du Changsa after you leave. For him to gain 1 billion with no reason at all, it's atypical. Chi Changshan's eyes flickered as he immediately took the hint, saying, don't worry. I'll convey your message. As he left the Everlasting Feast Hall, a sneer was revealed on Chi Changshan's face. He took out his mobile after sitting in his car and dialed Du Changsa's cell number. After his call had connected, he bluntly spoke, Brother Du, thanks for the information you gave me. Because of it I resolved the matter. However, as I was about to leave, Tianli wanted me to convey a message to you. What is it? Asked Du Changsa in an urgent tone. She said that you don't have to eat such poor food alone. Keeping the food for himself? Du Changsa hadn't rested yet and his complexion turned unsightly. After falling into silence for a long period of time, he slowly said, I know what to do. See you again later. As he ended the call, Chi Changshan turned his head to look at his son, Chi Changxing, who sat next to him. Were he not his son, he would have choked him to death himself for having to waste 2 billion in just one night. It was 2 billion yuan. Though the Qi family had a big enterprise and possessed a lot of assets, taking out 2 billion all of a sudden would still create a lethal effect. Dad, I made mistake. I promise I won't cause any more troubles in the future. Knowing his father's temper, Chi Changxing quickly spoke. Chi Changshan took a deep breath, repressing his anger. Obtaining a lesson by spending money. If by spending 2 billion yuan his son could get rid of his bad habit and then study well to take over the family's business, it would be fine. However, it was too huge a price. The next morning, Tang Xiu woke up. He meditated for 4 hours last night and then went straight to sleep. With his current cultivation level, it wouldn't be a problem for him to stay awake for 15 days. Still, he chose to sleep for several hours to rejuvenate his spirit. Having finished his shower and leaving his room, he went to the hall on the first floor and found Tianli waiting for him there. "Boss." Getting up from the sofa, Tianli greeted him respectfully. "Have you handled the matter last night thoroughly? Did anything else happen?" "Everything has been taken care of. Also, Li Jiren called me last night and with his help, we hadn't encountered any problems thus far. As long as Jiang Tianba and the others don't babble about it, everything is on track," said Tianli. Tang Xiu sneered, "They will never speak even half a word about it, unless they're tired of their lives. Anyways, have you had breakfast yet?" "Not yet, boss," said Tianli and shook her head. "Come and have breakfast with me. I will catch the plane after the meal." Complying, Tianli then followed Tang Xiu to the dining room. The villa had many maids and the meals had been prepared as they served the dishes on the table after Tang Xiu and Tianli sat down. "Boss, Qi Chengxing's father, Qi Chengshan, came to the everlasting feast hall after you left last night. He brought his son to apologize and gave me 1 billion yuan as a token of apology," said Tianli while eating. Tang Xiu nodded, "Take the compensation money to Jingmen Island and give it to Gu Xiaoxue. I have many things to take care of, so I've little time to manage things in the everlasting feast hall. You can find her if anything comes up later. Only call me if you can't manage the issue." Tianli was surprised for a moment as she then said, "Boss, that means you will not manage the everlasting feast hall's issues as per normal? I'm still a student and just finished my CET this year. My score is rather acceptable as well as the top scorer for the science subjects in Shuangqing province. Also, I'm going to Shanghai University to study." Tianli's eyes stared wide, almost popping out. The fact that Tang Xiu was a student who just graduated and became a freshman was out of her imagination. More unthinkable was that Tang Xiu even earned first place for the CET science subjects in Shuangqing province. "Boss, is it necessary for you to go to college in your mind?" probed Tianli cautiously. Forcing out a smile, Tang Xiu said, "If you ask my thoughts about it, it's unnecessary. Yet, my mother's greatest dream has always been me being admitted to a prestigious university. For her, it's an imperative wish." A light burst out from Tianli's eyes. She lowered her head to conceal it and spoke again, "Boss, might I ask you something? You may ignore my question if you don't want to answer it, though. Just ask. You don't need to put on such a cautious look before me. I may create rivers of blood and leave countless dead bodies for my enemies, but it would be absolutely unlikely for the people under me." "Have a little confidence," said Tang Xiu with a smile. "Big Boss raised us since childhood, boss. If she was not there we definitely wouldn't be able to live now. Big Boss has told us ever since our childhood to seek someone called Tang Xiu regardless of any time or anywhere. I think that person should be you, no?" "That's right, it's me," said Tang Xiu. "Then, your relationship with Big Boss is?" asked Tianli. "Yan is my apprentice," said Tang Xiu lightly. "What?" Tianli suddenly stood with disbelief all over her face. Letting out a light smile, Tang Xiu said, "Some things are meant to be kept a secret, for you don't have the qualifications to know about them as of now. Someday in the future, when your cultivation can follow me to another world, you will understand." "Another world?" Astonishment covered Tianli's face as she looked at Tang Xiu, aghast. It was as though a storm rose inside her heart, because she had never thought that there existed another world besides Earth. "B-Boss, what and where is that other world you're talking about?" With a serene expression, Tang Xiu said, "For now you don't need to know. When you reach the realm of immortals I'll naturally tell you. Anyways, let's stop here. You're not to tell another soul about what I just told you." "Yes," said Tianli respectfully. Waving his hand, Tang Xiu motioned her to sit down and continued eating breakfast. Chapter 288, Retention. The beautiful sunshine shone on the very earth. It was 9 o'clock in the morning when Tang Xiu, along with the Mo brothers, arrived at Hong Kong airport. Mo An had booked tickets with scheduled flight at 9:30 a.m., so there was half an hour left before they took off. The flight to Nine Dragon Island would require one to transit Saipan before they took a sea route from Saipan to Nine Dragon Island. Tang Xiu brought some books in his suitcase for this trip. The Yellow Emperor's Canon of Medicine, the Fundamental Theories of Businesses, the Nanotechnology, and the Theory of Laser Instrument Development. Recently, Tang Xiu was particularly keen on reading some books on science and technology since modern technology had never existed in the immortal world, yet each and every civilization possessed its essence. Through the present science and technology, Tang Xiu wanted to verify some of his ideas. What made him somewhat content was the fact that the present science and technology were really powerful, in which what seemed like ordinary knowledge actually contained profound laws. After killing some time, the three boarded the plane soon after. As the plane took off, they arrived at Cobbler International Airport in Saipan by noon. The moment Tang Xiu came out from the plane, his spirit was aroused. The air was fresh, and along with the blue sky, it gave him a complete relaxed feeling. "Boss, are we heading straight to Nine Dragon Island by ship, or do you want to rest in Saipan for a day?" Mo An, who had been to Saipan and was rather familiar with the place, asked Tang Xiu. "Rent a boat, we'll go straight to Nine Dragon Island," said Tang Xiu. "Yes." Mo An quickly took his mobile and dialed a cell number. A few minutes later, he ended up the call and spoke to Tang Xiu. "We have rented a cruiser in Red Sand Bay Port, boss. However, we need to buy some supplies before we set sail because it will take around 2 days to sail to Nine Dragon Island." Such a trivial matter was something Tang Xiu didn't want to bother with. After he sat on the taxi parked on the roadside, he said, "These kind of things will be your duty to take care of." Immediately after, he spoke in English. Red Sand Bay Port. At Red Sand Port, a big black man, Tom Reggie, was smoking a thick cigar with a yellow sun hat, plaid casual short, big red trousers and slippers. He stood on the quayside and shouted, "Get a move on. Take out your chick's strength and get my carry to the sea. This big daddy is kinda happy today, so don't fuck it up. Whoever screws up, I swear I'll smash your balls off." On the beach, over 100 big guys revealed their fine muscular bodies as they operated pulleys to move a brand new cruiser to the sea. The carry cruiser was 80 meters in length and looked particularly luxurious. "Boss, those people are here," a man came before him and spoke respectfully. Tom Reggie turned around and looked at the three men tens of meters away before his eyes finally fixated on Mo An. He walked toward them and made a strange hand sign after he was several meters away from Mo An. With the same hand signal, Mo An responded back to him. "Yo buddy, it's been 8 years since our last meet, no?" Tom Reggie spoke in fluent English, all smiling. Mo An laughed, "Yep. It's been 8 years and 6 months. I thought you were dead, so it's surprising to see you now. Your country has an old saying that good people don't live long while calamity lasts for millennia. I guess I'm kinda a calamity in your custom, eh? Anyways, is this your big boss?" "Yep. He's my boss," said Mo An. Extending his hand, Tang Xiu nodded and said, "I'm Tang Xiu." Tom Reggie shook hands with Tang Xiu and laughed, "Well, I kinda admire you, Mr. Tang. Rather, I'm quite curious about what sort of abilities you have for being able to make Mo An your subordinate. How about we exchange some blows? I'm quite strong myself." "Boss, Tom is very powerful. He had once killed an adult African elephant with his bare hands," said Mo An. Tang Xiu shook his head and laughed, "You have to be prepared to die if you want to confront me. But you can try now if you wish to." "No, no, no. We are friends. How can we have a life and death contest? Besides, Mo An is my friend and comrade in arms. You're his boss, he'll surely come with everything he has against me if I kill you. And to be honest, I'm not even his match. Tom Reggie waved his hands repeatedly. Tom, I'm not even a match for boss, Mo On calmly said. What? Tom Reggie was surprised for a moment as his eyes stared wide, astonishment sprouting inside him. He knew Mo On's character, he never lied. Such being the case, was this young man, Mr. Tang, really a powerful individual? Tang Xiu was reluctant to get tangled in such trivial matter. He looked to the shore and asked, "Is that cruiser the one you're renting to us?" Nodding, Tom Reggie said, "This carry cruiser was just shipped here yesterday, but her crew had all been trained well, so they can definitely control the ship. Also, the service staff have arrived so we can set sail at any time." "We can't set sail tonight," asked Tang Xiu with knitted brows. Tom Reggie shrugged his shoulders. "We could set sail at night, but the Meteorological Bureau just spread out the news that a small tsunami is predicted to occur tomorrow morning. For safety's sake, I suggest we wait it out before leaving." "Tsunami?" After being silent for a moment, Tang Xiu then nodded and slowly said, "In that case, we can only wait for a day here. On, book some rooms in a nearby hotel. I have arranged the hotel accommodation. It's an upscale resort nearby. I also have prepared an appropriate banquet tonight as a welcoming dinner for you," said Tom with a smile. A hint of a happy smile was revealed on Tang Xiu's face as he nodded, "Thank you. You're welcome. Who made me owe my life to this On guy a few times anyway? Well, I'll go get them to prepare the ship first before I take you to rest in the resort," Tom Reggie said with a smile. On their way to the nearby resort, Tang Xiu asked Mo On, "The two of you were comrades in arms?" Mo On nodded. "We were under the same organization in the past, so he and I had performed some missions together. The missions were very dangerous and we fought side by side for many times and almost died in the process. He's one of the people I trust the most aside from our own people. I originally intended to invite him to work for the Everlasting Feast Hall, but he refused." Tang Xiu nodded. "He's a man with ambition, and it looks like he happens to have a good life. Boss, though it's been more than 8 years since the last time I saw him, but I still learned some news about him. A few years ago, he lived rather bad days since he offended the local tyrants. He was chased for more than 2 years and I once thought that he surely died. I didn't expect he would return and secretly slew his mortal enemies. He also made use of another force to decimate them. All the while his mortal enemies were fighting for power and profit, he finally set up his foothold and stood firm here," said Mo On. Curious, Tang Xiu asked, "Since you're comrades of life and death, why didn't you lend him a hand? One's life can only be preserved by oneself. I'd avenge him if he died, but if he wants to set up his foothold between the sky and earth, he must rely on himself. Not to mention that I'm a member of the Everlasting Feast Hall, so I can never bring any trouble to my own home," said Mo On. Tang Xiu slowly nodded. "It seems that whoever is trained by Yen is very good. Big Boss fostered and brought us up. She rescued our lives from human traffickers, providing us with all the basic necessities of life as well as spent a lot of resources to train us. Our lives will always belong to the Everlasting Feast Hall," said Mo On. Tang Xiu fell into silence. Many people had once been trained by him, but eventually, only a remaining few survived. Those who survived also scattered throughout the immortal world and rarely moved around in peacetime. They only appeared to pay homage to him every 100 years. Having human resources was a powerful strength. At this point, he was more certain now how wrong he was before. At the same time, his thought of nurturing a large number of loyal subordinates with strong convictions and dreadful strength was becoming firmer. At Saipan's Lao Bay Resort. When they arrived there, Tom Reggie's subordinate, a very graceful young woman, waited there. "Are you Mr. Tang?" Wearing a dozen centimeters high heels, Ai Jasmine strode over. Her slender waist swung by. Attractive and beautiful, she had fair white skin, was blonde-haired, and had blue eyes, giving off a typical exotic vibe. "I am." Tang Xiu nodded. AI Jasmine smiled lightly. Our boss ordered me to lead Mr. Tang to the residence after you arrived. Also, I have arranged a number of programs which you can choose freely at any time should you wish to. The cost will be on our boss. Lead the way, please. The program said by the other party piqued Tang Xiu's curiosity. He followed AI Jasmine to the interior of the resort, where a villa resided in the landscape with the best ocean view. Well, this is the program list, Mr. Tang. Would you wish to have the whole service, or choose a few types from it? Asked AI Jasmine with a smile. When he saw the program list, Tang Xiu's expression suddenly changed. He wasn't sure about most of the listed programs. He had heard of several programs amongst those, which were the Thai massage, seabed diving, and surfing. I'll try the Thai massage. The Seven Goddesses dance sounds interesting. As for the rest, I'll pass. Having finished talking, Tang Xiu gave the program list to Moan and said with a smile, let's consider it a relaxation in our trip. You two also pick a few. Upon hearing Tang Xiu's pick, especially the Seven Goddesses dance, Moan suddenly let out a slight smile. However, he gave the program list to Moan and said with a smile, boss, I'm not interested in these programs. Besides, we're in an unfamiliar place, so I need to prevent any strangers from disturbing you. But all like such kind of plays, though. So let him choose one. Moa didn't refuse and deftly selected a few programs. Looking at Tang Xiu, the smile on AI Jasmine's face turned into a crescent shape. All right, please follow me, Mr. Tang. As for Mr. Ah, please wait a bit. Someone will guide you later. Chapter 289, The Slob, Wretched Fat Man. Lao Bay Resort was very large and had an impressively elegant interior construction design. The architecture was exotic, with each villa constructed on a wide area along with numerous precious vegetation as well as colorful blooming flowers everywhere. There were even many well-dressed handsome men and beautiful women, possessing the bearing of nobles. In just 10 minutes, Tang Xiu saw dozens of luxury cars rarely seen in China such as the Bugatti Veyron, the world's limited edition that was priced at tens of millions of yuan. If my guess is correct, Mr. Tang should be from China, right? Jasmine was rather friendly toward Tang Xiu. As she guided Tang Xiu through the hallway, she explained the landscape of the resort and kept a smile on her face all the while. That's right, said Tang Xiu with a nod. China's economy has been growing rapidly nowadays, and the people in your country are becoming wealthier. At least 1/5 of the tourists staying in Lao Bay Resort come from your country, said AI Jasmine with a smile. That many? Asked Tang Xiu in astonishment. Perhaps Lao Bay Resort's reputation has spread to your country. Hence, many of the guests from your country like to stay here. Though the prices here are rather high, they don't seem to care about it. The casino is one of the most visited sites for the guests from your country, said AI Jasmine with a laugh. A casino? A strange expression appeared on Tang Xiu's face upon hearing it. He recalled his endeavor in helping Long Zhengyu and Jia Ruidao's gambling bet. From 2 games of gambling, he got a lot of benefits from them. Since he had come, should he play a few games? The thought crossed his mind as Tang Xiu quickly made up his mind that, after he got some free time after finishing the project, he would visit a casino to play some games. He wanted to experience the gambling scene in a foreign country as well as make some money while convenient. The current him had money, he was much richer than in the past. The bank card Ji Qimei gave him still had 8 billion in it. He originally planned to give it back to Gu Xiaoxue, but after the incident in Hong Kong with Jiang Tianba, Chen Jianya, Du Changsa and Qi Changshan, he obtained a huge fortune eclipsing the 8 billion yuan in his hands. Hence, he decided to use it for the rebuilding project in Nine Dragon Island. However, the island was very large and, according to the rebuilding plan he had in mind, let alone 8 billion, even 80 billion yuan wouldn't be enough. Thus, he would be more relaxed in the future if he could win some money from the casino. At the health club. 4 beautiful young ladies appeared as AI Jasmine took Tang Xiu inside. Wearing nightgowns and soft sandals, they bowed toward Tang Xiu. One of the girls then said in fluent English, "We welcome you, sir. Might I ask what service you picked?" AI Jasmine was the one to reply, "This is Mr. Tang, he needs a Thai massage. Arrange it for him, I'll be waiting in the rest area. Remember to inform me after you've finished the service." All right. As the vice president of the resort, the four girls naturally knew AI Jasmine. They being particularly respectful toward her was a given. "Please come with me, Mr. Tang." A beautiful girl made an invitation gesture and took Tang Xiu toward an exquisitely decorated corridor inside. After having passed 2 corridors and through the beautiful environment around the hall, she guided Tang Xiu to another room at the side and then asked, "Mr. Tang, do you need a private room or a public one?" The private room has 1 bed and, aside from the massaging staff, 2 girls are ready for service, whereas the public room has 3 beds with 3 massaging staff and 3 attendants. Pondering for a moment, Tang Xiu slowly said, "Take me to the public room, the private one is too extravagant." All right. The beautiful girl then took Tang Xiu to another hall and opened one of the rooms. Inside there was already a guest enjoying a Thai massage at the moment. The guest was a chubby middle-aged man full of fat with big ears and short hair whose thick neck had a thick gold necklace that was glittering under the crystal chandelier's light. The chubby middle-aged man apparently sensed Tang Xiu's arrival since he turned his head and threw a glance to size up Tang Xiu, while enjoying the Thai massage from a beautiful masseuse. Then, he groaned, "A Japanese? Chinese?" Tang Xiu's brow pricked and replied in Mandarin. The fatty middle-aged man was stunned for a second as a hint of a smile appeared on his face. He raised his lying hand to Tang Xiu and smiled, "I thought you were a Japanese, but I didn't expect you to be a fellow countryman. Hey, little bro, come and take the bed next to me." Putting on a light smile, Tang Xiu looked at the beautiful girl and said, "It's my first time enjoying a Thai massage. Is there anything I need to do before the service?" The pretty girl said, "You need to go to the dressing room to change your clothes. If you want to take a bath, there's a bathroom next to it, Mr. Tang. Someone will guide you here and give you a Thai massage. If there's anything you need, you can also call the attendants, they will do their best to meet your needs." "I understand." Tang Xiu nodded, motioning the beautiful girl to leave. He then turned toward the dressing room, changed his clothes and put on pajamas, and then went to the bathroom for a shower. After he put on the pajamas back, he then came to the public room. "Sir, I'm your masseuse and she is your hostess. You can tell us if there's anything you need. Might I ask whether you want to start now?" Another girl with beautiful looks comparable to the previous girl Tang Xiu had met before came in front of him, followed by another girl in yellow uniform. Nodding to her, Tang Xiu then looked at the middle-aged man who was only wearing underwear. He also took off his bathrobe and lied on the next single bed. The fat middle-aged man squinted his eyes, watching Tang Xiu's actions. He asked, all smiling, "Little bro, it's your first time having a Thai massage, isn't it? Are you anxious? Relax, buddy. Just enjoy it, we are the gods here. Even if you say you're their biological father, they won't deny it." Rolling his eyes inside, Tang Xiu felt quite amused toward the fat middle-aged man who spoke with a northeasterner accent. The masseuse took off her bathrobe on the bedside of the single men, leaving only 3 pieces of underwear on her body. She then began to prepare her props such as the massaging oil, clean towels, and other things. Shortly after, the masseuse's white hands gently stroked Tang Xiu's body, causing him to feel somewhat nervous. At this time, he was somewhat secretly regretting. Had he known about it earlier, he would have ordered a private room. A Thai massage indeed could make someone relax and feel comfortable. Tang Xiu could clearly feel that this female masseuse was truly skillful. She had a very deep comprehension pertaining the human body. He could even faintly tell that she had a deep knowledge of acupuncture points and meridians of the human body. Though her Thai massage was somewhat unusual, yet it could make people feel relaxed and comfortable. The chubby middle-aged man apparently was slightly excited about having bumped into his fellow countrymen here. While resting his head on his arms, he looked at Tang Xiu and asked, "Little bro, you haven't told me your name yet, and from which region you come from?" "My name is Li Laoshan, my buddies used to call me Geezer Li, the fatty. I come from the northeast of China, Fuqing. I'm Tang Xiu, from Star City of Shuangqing Province." Somehow, Tang Xiu was reluctant to speak. But, since the man was, after all, his fellow countryman, he also didn't want to appear exceedingly indifferent. Geezer Fatty Li apparently knew Star City since he praised with a sigh. "Ah, Star City is a good place. I had been there a few times. To Long's dining hall, in particular. I had once stayed in its presidential suite for a night, but it gave me such a firm impression right away. I really never thought that you actually had once stayed in the Long's dining hall." "It seems you have a friend in Star City, right?" said Tang Xiu with a smile. Geezer Fatty Li chuckled, "But of course. Though I run a steel business, I have a lot of friends and other whatnot in the domestic business circle. For example, the big boss of Endless Virtue Pharmaceutical in your Star City. Old Chen is my longtime buddy, of whom was the cause of my visit to Star City twice before." "Old Chen?" Tang Xiu was surprised. "You mean it's Chen Zhizhong?" "Yeah, Chen Zhizhong." "Ah. Little brother, you also heard about him?" Geezer Fatty Li nodded and smiled. "Yes," replied Tang Xiu with a smile. Geezer Fatty Li chuckled and laughed. "No wonder, though. The Endless Virtue Pharmaceuticals HQ is in Star City, whereas that old Chen is kinda a celebrity in the business world, so it's not strange if you know him too. The story of meeting him is kinda a fantasy saga in itself. We were both members of a martial arts society and he beat me badly back then. Afterwards, I went to Star City twice, finding him for a fight. My grandma, that guy's strength is darn good. Every time I feel that I made progress and look for him, he's always a step ahead of me." The smile on Tang Xiu's face was getting thicker. This Geezer Fatty Li was mocking himself without the slightest embarrassment, yet it caused Tang Xiu to have some favorable impression of him. Oftentimes, those who were telling the truth about their weaknesses to others were the sort of people who had frank and good characters. Chen Zhizhong indeed has a good strength. "You will perhaps be beaten by him more miserably if you go to Star City now," said Tang Xiu whilst letting out a faint smile. The Geezer Fatty Li stared blankly for a second as he asked in amazement, "Do you know him?" "Yeah, I know him," said Tang Xiu with a nod. Sizing up Tang Xiu yet again, Geezer Fatty Li probed, "To be acquaintances with Chen Zhizhong is not something someone who has simple capital can do. Little bro, your background is kinda unusual, no? Tell this old bro of yours, what does your family do in Star City?" "I'm only a student who was just admitted to university. I'll have to register myself to university in September. Only, I have set up a small business there and usually tamper with some medicinal herbs. Hence, the reason I know him," said Tang Xiu with a smile. Geezer Li understood in an instant. Still, he was surprised as he let out a sigh and exclaimed in praise, "You're amazing, little bro. You started your own business at such a young age? Damn, when I was at your age, I only knew how to flirt with chicks and hang out with my buddies to drink, playing with them every day." Chapter 290, Profiting from the Relationship with Someone. Tang Xiu smiled and no longer spoke. He didn't show off, neither did he say that Chen Zhizhong was his apprentice. After all, he only just met Geezer Li today. Boasting was unnecessary, even though he liked Geezer Li's personality. Geezer Li, the fatty, also seemed reluctant to mention the topic about Chen Zhizhong and Tang Xiu again. He changed the topic to the local condition and customs in Saipan as well as the favorite entertainments there. "Little bro, you should have picked the program list when you came here, right? Tell this old bro, what did you pick?" Geezer Fatty Li suddenly asked with a smile. "I only picked two. One is the Thai massage, and the other one is the Seven Goddesses dance." Geezer Lee fell into a daze, his eyes almost bulging out from its sockets. He shouted, "What did you say? You picked the Seven Goddesses dance? I'm damned. It's great. So great. Hella grandma, this Geezer Lee is rather old and can no longer have this kind of excitement." Shortly after, a bit of an envious look was reflected on his face, saying, "It's great to be young. If I were to return to the past, even though I dared not pick this Seven Goddesses dance, but I still want to experience it." At the side either it was Tang Xiu and Geezer Lee's masseuses. Even the other two young female attendants changed their expressions when they looked at Tang Xiu. Blazing fiery lights filled the four girls' eyes. Confused, Tang Xiu asked in puzzlement, "What sort of program is this Seven Goddesses dance exactly?" "You don't know?" Geezer Lee asked in astonishment. "Huh?" Tang Xiu shook his head, "Nope. I just thought it sounded good, so I picked it on a whim." Geezer Lee burst into loud laughter as even tears fell amidst his laugh. His expression when he looked at Tang Xiu was full of teasing flavor. As his laugh turned milder, he said, "Little bro, rarely did this old bro have been had, yet I got struck by you today. You know nothing about what sort of program the Seven Goddesses dance is, yet you unexpectedly dared to pick it? Point is, if anything, I won't tell you what it is, you might as well wait to know it yourself. Let's exchange our cell numbers. I want to see your appearance after you've enjoyed the Seven Goddesses dance." Looking at his expression, Tang Xiu became more curious about the Seven Goddesses dance. However, since the old man kept him guessing, he was also reluctant to ask again. Didn't the service need to be enjoyed? He had requested it, and regardless whatever the service was, he should enjoy it. After enjoying the Thai massage, Tang Xiu put his clothes back on and found that Geezer Lee, who had finished his Thai massage half an hour earlier than him, hadn't left yet. He was now drinking flavored tea in the side hall and smoking a cigar while half leaning on the resting couch. "Oh, little brother. What do you think about that Thai massage?" Seeing Tang Xiu coming out, Geezer Lee immediately smiled and asked. "It's not bad," said Tang Xiu with a nod. Geezer Lee stood up and smiled, "Little bro, the Seven Goddesses dance is usually more fun to play at night. How about we go play somewhere else now?" Puzzled, Tang Xiu asked, "Where?" Geezer Lee chuckled and smiled, "The casino." Tang Xiu was dazed for a second. After a moment's hesitation, he nodded and slowly said, "Okay. Let's play in the casino then. However, I'm a poor man and only have a little money." "It's fine. Us, brothers, are fated to meet. I'll help you out today. Your old brother may not be very rich, but taking out 1.8 million for fun and play isn't a problem." Tang Xiu shook his head, "You don't need to do that." Geezer Lee waved his hand, "It's your call. You can buy the chips if you have the money. You can tell me if you're short on money. We're here on vacation, to play and enjoy ourselves." Tang Xiu smiled and nodded. He could feel a faint superior imposing aura from Geezer Lee. The man was not someone from the political world, so he was probably someone influential in the business world. 1.8 million yuan was perhaps only a small sum and not worth mentioning to him. Knowing how to restrain oneself in gambling. From this only, this geezer Fatty Lee was not your usual layman. Sighing inside, Tang Xiu walked outside alongside him. When the both of them arrived at the outermost hall, Jasmine and Mo On came. "Did the Thai massage conform to your satisfaction, Mr. Tang?" "Not bad. My body feels kinda comfortable right now," said Tang Xiu with a smile. Glancing at Geezer Fatty Lee, Jasmine smiled and asked again, "Then, are you going to try the Seven Goddesses dance now?" "No need to hurry. I want to follow this old brother to play in the casino first." "On, you can go rest now, you don't need to follow me," said Tang Xiu with a smile. "Yes," replied Mo On immediately when he heard it. Looking at Jasmine and glancing at Mo On, Geezer Fatty Lee seemed surprised. Little bro, they are. She seems to be a staff. As for him, he's my subordinate, said Tang Xiu with a smile. Amazed, Geezer Fatty Lee replied in astonishment, your man is kinda unusual. Looking at his steady footsteps and strong physique, he should be a martial expert. I never thought you also brought your bodyguards when you come out to play, little bro. Tang Xiu didn't explain, only letting out a faint smile. Jasmine took out a business card from her pocket, handed it over to Geezer Lee, and said with a smile, hello, sir. I'm the vice president of Lao Bay Resort, AI Jasmine. You can call me Manager Jasmine. Mr. Tang is our distinguished guest, so I'm here to ensure the service myself. A vice president? And he's a VIP? For the first time, Geezer Fatty Lee was piqued by Tang Xiu's identity. The Lao Bay Resort was an upscale and luxurious holiday resort, and he also heard that the force behind it was rather powerful. Someone who could become a vice president here certainly possessed unusual identity. While she personally accompanied Tang Xiu and even said that he was a VIP, this was evidence that Tang Xiu himself had an extraordinary identity, far more than the person himself had said. I'm Li Laoshan, this is my business card. Geezer Fatty Lee also gave his business card to Jasmine. Well, I'll inform the reception manager of the resort about you, Mr. Lee. Since you are a friend of Mr. Tang's, then I'll call him to give you a 40% discount for any of your expenses. This is the maximum rights I can give under my privileges. Looking at Tang Xiu with a strange expression, Geezer Fatty Lee couldn't help smiling. Well, having taken a Thai massage and met you, little brother, it's rather unexpected it would also drag me into the limelight as well. I gotta say thanks. Jasmine nodded and smiled. Anyways, Jasmine. You don't need to escort me. You can take care of your work. Also, if Tom comes at dinner, please inform me, said Tang Xiu. Roger that. Jasmine chuckled and nodded. Along with Jasmine's departure, Geezer Fatty Lee embraced Tang Xiu's shoulders. Letting out mischievous chuckle, he said, little bro, you were hiding something, eh? Having the vice president escort you personally is not something possible for a student who has a small business, no? Tell me quickly, from which influential force are you? Shrugging his shoulders, Tang Xiu smiled, nope. I'm kinda benefiting from my subordinate, to be frank. He and Jasmine's boss are friends, a life and death comrade in arms to be precise. So, you know the rest. Geezer Fatty Lee instantly understood as he said with a smile, just wow. It looks like the both of us got the limelight from others then. Anyways, shall we go to the casino? I'm sure luck is upon us today, so my luck in gambling should be very good. Okay. Shortly after, under Geezer Fatty Lee's leading, the duo went to the Lao Bay Resort's casino. The two-storied casino was built in a large area. The first floor was a big hall, providing gambling establishments for the public. Inside there lots of people encircling various gambling establishments. The second floor was for private boxes. Unless the gambling bouts were over $1 billion gambling stake, no one was eligible to enter it. Geezer Fatty Lee, who seemed familiar with the place, brought Tang Xiu to a counter at the innermost to exchange money to chips. He only exchanged 1 million, as did Tang Xiu. Little bro, what do you want to play? Geezer Lee asked curiously. Tang Xiu shook his head, I don't know much about the rules and customs for gambling in casinos. You play first. I'll observe and study the gambling machines here. I'll try to play some games after I got a hint of it. Geezer Fatty Lee shook his head, it's kinda boring if I play alone. Anyways, I'll help you explaining whatever you want to know. Let's see who among us, brothers, will have more wins. Are you not afraid to lose all of your money? Tang Xiu laughed. Geezer Lee raised his brows and grinned, if I'm gonna lose it all, then let it be. Consider it as payment for picking the 7 goddesses dance. Alright, let's go stroll around. The atmosphere inside the casino was lively and noisy. Many gamblers were betting. Those who won were overjoyed with ecstasy all over their faces, whereas those who lost looked dejected with bitterness on their faces. As a regular patron of the casino, Geezer Fatty Lee knew the gambling machines here inside out. He even acted as the gambling guru as he taught Tang Xiu some know-how and gambling tips. After having circled around, Geezer Lee, who had his mouth parched for doing some explanations, conveniently picked up a glass of red wine from the tray brought by a waiter. He drank it and then asked, "So, what do you want to play, little bro? I'll be accompanying you today and playing the same games with you. Let us compete. Let's play dice." Tang Xiu laughed. Nodding, Geezer Lee said, "Let's go. Betting big or small numbers, you place your bet and that's it. It's kinda a good one as simple and crude games are what this Geezer Lee excels at." As they came to the dice game spot, a lot of people had already gathered there. The dealer was a middle-aged woman and various gamblers were already on the table. "Ladies and gentlemen, please take your time to place your bet." As the dealer's voice sounded, the gamblers around put their chips representing the amount of money on the spots they wanted. Tang Xiu didn't hurry to place his bet, instead watching it quietly. In stark contrast, Geezer Lee, who found that Tang Xiu showed no intention to bet, casually put out two 10K chips. He bet on a big number. It was 4, 5 and 6. A total of 15 points. If 15 points were out, then he would get 10 times the bet. If the dices were not 4, 5 or 6, then he would lose 20,000. The dealer's dice shaking technique was very fast and also rather had a lot of frequency. Having learned how to listen to the dice shaking technique from Jia Ruidao back then, Tang Xiu shook his head after the dealer pressed the dice cover on the table. He knew that Geezer Lee had just lost his 20K bet.